Hey there.
Oh, hey, we're live. Sorry, I was watching the countdown on the replay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to
No.
episode 3 of creating your best year ever. I love the grandiosity of that. I mean it. What we're doing, I'm John Patrick Morgan. This is Heather Quick, if you can't read our names. What we are doing over these 5 weeks, we're in the second week, is we're sharing 5 ideas that if you take these ideas on, and you live them over the next year, it will be the best year of your life, guaranteed. No, that sounds like a big promise, but I fucking mean it. I live these ideas, and everything that's great in my life and that in my clients' lives, hundreds, thousands of clients over the years, has gotten more better and more awesome, has come through living these ideas.
Yeah.
And so if you can really hear them in what we share here and really take them on religiously, like if you do the exercise, if you do the work, you get the body. The same idea, you do this and you embody it, and you will get the embodiment of that of the life that you would love. So we're here to talk about this next idea. So last week we did you creating everything, and we gave you the question, how am I creating this? It's like if you work that, it's like life-changing. Today and this week, we're talking about this next principle, which we actually just upgraded it like 7 minutes before we went live today, because we realized actually there's a deeper essence here. And it's just 2 words: only love.
Only love. It's
a stance. Only love. And it's like, what do you mean by that? Well, that's why we've got a bit more time to talk about that, because what we mean by it does 2 things. Number one, it gives you an understanding of how radically expansive this is. And also like just how radical of a stance this is. Okay. Let's talk about its expanse first, and we'll talk about how radical of a commitment it is when you say only love. That's it. I mean, do only what you love.
Yeah.
Don't do anything if you don't love it. I mean, be only what you love. Don't be something if you don't love being that. Yeah. And have only what you love in your life. Materially, have only the relationships you love.
Yeah.
Right. And everything. So that's the expanse. And I also mean only love as a quality of being, like loving kindness, have an awareness of yourself as love, being loving as a way of being, having only love being that which you reference on how to decide where to direct yourself in your life. Like, what is my orientation? Like, have love be your inner compass. What would I love? Not what do I want? What should I do? Fuck that. What would I love? Just like only love, being obsessive with it, loving it. Love in all forms, love in the sense of compassion, love in the sense of desire, like all the definitions. You pick what you mean by love. Yeah, that, all of them. Okay, so that's the expansiveness of what I mean by only love. But the radicalness of it is when you realize that, like, I really mean it. Yeah. I don't mean like, most of the time where you can. I don't mean where you can.
Where it's appropriate, where it applies. Yeah.
Yeah, where it applies. Like, obviously in some situations, sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do to get what you want. Nope. I mean, no, not even that. And if you're hearing this, you're like, oh my God, there's so many things that I can't just stop doing those, because there's things that I would love that comes from those that would be interrupted. Yeah. Okay. I'm not saying you have to flip the switch right now and that like literally instantly you only live that way. I mean, you could, there'd be consequences all apart. So, but you can still get there. Yeah. If you don't just try to like smash into it overnight, but you say, you know what, I'm going to move over the course of the next year into a place that by December 31st, 2025, I can say, hand on my heart, without a doubt, there is nothing in my life that's not love. There's nothing I have that I don't love. I've gotten rid of everything I don't love. I've got more things that I do love. There's no relationship or even an aspect of it that I don't love. In fact, I love every minute of my marriage, even when it's in turmoil or difficult, right? So that's part of this too.
Yes.
It's both changing the world around you so that it is what you love, and changing the world within you so that you love the world around you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like inside out and outside in. It's not one or the other. This isn't just spiritual stuff where it's like, just love what is, and that's it. Right? Like, that's beautiful because there's freedom in that, but that's not all there is to life. In the 3 principles, they talk about like, getting out of your thinking, And so you can just be in groundedness and well-being. And when you drop out of thinking and you're loving what is, like whatever's going on, it's just my thoughts. So I'm in a place of love, and that's great. There's a peace there. So love as peace, yes. But guess what? Love also has pleasure, because
Ooh,
nobody wants to fuck in well-being. Creation is about polarity and bringing things in the world of form into being.
yeah.
Right. And so we also want love in the form of, well, I'm going to love something that isn't until it is. I'm going to love a relationship that I don't have until I have it. And then I'm going to have only what I love, and the actual material manifestation of that which I love. So we mean it in all the ways. And I hope you kind of get a sense of how it's radical and challenging. Heather, what are you hearing in what I'm saying that people might be thinking, oh shit, that's like too extreme, or I can't do that here? Can you think of a place where people might be wondering how this could even apply or be possible?
The thing that comes to mind is work. I have to work. I have to make money. I have to any place that we habitually say have to, should. You mentioned should a minute ago. That's a doorway into loving your life more, an opportunity right there, right? To love. And so the thing I think that's, chores, work, I think those are the things. Oh, partner's behavior that you don't like. Are talking in the Black community right now, right, about how to love when your partner is upset. Like what? So this isn't, I guess that's right? The edge is not, like you were saying, it's not just about getting rid of the items in my house that I don't love and bringing in new items that I do love, or getting rid of all my relationships that I don't love. Like there's a growth edge to that, but the real growth edge for me also is noticing how so many things in my life that I judge as not love or not lovable actually are, and stepping into that. And so
yeah, it is the first piece. Loving what is the first step in having and being and doing, experiencing only what you love in your life. But I'm very adamant that it's only the first step, because I am not just like a spiritual unplugged from circumstance and material reality kind of guy, and then just live your life like Om Namah Shiva, like that's it. That's not, to me, that's not life.
Well, it's not like loving it without changing it. Like, what if it took, in order for me to love my work, I got to show up a different way. In order for me to love these activities, right? I get to be different. I'm actually changing my relationship with the things, which will change the happenings of those things, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, so of course, I think what you're saying is like when you love what is, when you stop resisting something and you're just okay with it, your relationship to it changes, your experience of it changes, and so now you're loving it where before you weren't.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's like step one. But then what happens, what emerges from that is that because your relationship to something changes, that non-resistance actually changes the way you express and interact with, and it changes the dance between you and it changes.
Right.
And it will change into something else.
Yes.
But if you have the idea that something else will come through me letting go of what it currently is, then you're kind of on a hook. Because you're like, I'm going to love what is, because it will change if I do into something that I then really love. And it's like, if you get caught in this loop. So I mean, it's hard to do that. It's hard to be it. So what I'm actually saying, which is similar to that, like just love what is because you get peace, full stop.
Sure.
Because then you're free. And then you're in a space of love and relaxedness. And if there's things that you would love that aren't yet, then you can love them in your imagination until they come into being, and then you get to have them in your life. Like I'm such a champion for people having what they would actually love in their life, and to love that into being through their actions, through the way they cultivate being, through all the work that we teach.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to say only love as like, it's not just a spiritual concept where it's not just about changing our phenomenology. It's not just about having a radically new perspective that has us be cool with everything. Yeah. It's also about us having the absence of something that we love come into being, like whether it's a car or a relationship or a dream home or a business or a sense of like or impact in the world. I was going to say a sense of purpose. That would be the inside part, but the actual impact in the world, like that can be. Yeah. And part of what makes it possible is being at peace when it's not there. Yeah. Another part of what makes it possible is having faith in the radical idea that if I love something that isn't long enough, it will come to be. The tide of reality will rise to meet the vision that I hold in my heart and in my mind. And if I
Right.
just can stay with it, speak. I say a crazy example, like when we talk about speaking. Actually, no, I'm going to hold that to the shift that's coming in a couple of weeks. Never mind. Forget I said that until week 4. So foreshadowing.
Yeah.
But I want to give people a tool that they can use. Also, I want to notice that we've got some questions coming in. As I like, just do an aside for a second. Julie at Westover asked, "Do we make New Year's resolutions?" I don't use the word resolution. I don't make a commitment, but I do have a word that I center my year around. So this year it's been, or 2 words, slow down.
Yeah.
And usually around this time, I'm starting to think about what my word next year is going to be. And the reason that is, I guess it's similarly applicable here, is because I like to hold a concept as like, like an anchor with like the tether ball, like a pole with a string and the ball on it. And that game where you tether ball, where you hit the ball and it goes around the pole. Yeah. It's like that pole is like the central idea for the year. And like everything in my life, it kind of like anchors around that. It's like a gravitational point. And so in that same way that I have an idea for the year that I live around and I bring it into every aspect of my life, that's what we're talking about here. Like this idea, only love. Mm-hmm. How many, like just make that an anchor point for your year in every single thing. I'm only going to eat the food that I love. My son just made me eggs. Like I'm only going to eat, like I'm only going to do, everything, every context, relationship, health and fitness, food, And I just posted an article today, didn't I? What do you want to do? It was how perfectly timely that came out right now, where my coach, Ryan Hurst, who's my fitness coach, was asking me like what I want to do. And I'll let you read the article, but it was like, holy shit, I couldn't hear his question as what would you love to do in fitness? Right. I thought he was asking me a different question about like, what is your, I didn't hear it. I couldn't see it. Yeah. And so, which brings me to the question I want to teach people to ask themselves as an entry point into doing only what you love. And I'll tell a little story about this and how I got to it. And it's, my wife is just coming out of like raising our 2 boys, not working. She had a very important career for herself. She's an optometrist and in the wine industry. And she took time off of work. And so she's been going through that common challenge as a mother of like getting back into like career and her, reconnecting with that part of her identity. And not only that, but just also like, so when you decide to be a full-time mother, you become so self-sacrificing that like you become so habituated to my kids are first and then my husband. And then like maybe if there's 5 minutes, me, but like you kind of get out of the habit of thinking about yourself.
Yep.
Right. And so she became so accustomed to that she lost touch with like even knowing what she would love to do. So like do only what you love sounds like a great piece of advice for somebody as long as they know what that is. And if you don't, it's like, fuck, you just want to avoid that whole idea because it's so confronting and it feels so, I've been in that space before, never to the extreme of my wife maybe, but it feels so disorienting to not even know what you would love. Right. I imagine you can relate. You're a mother. You've probably been through this.
Absolutely. I'm in it every day. Yeah.
Okay.
This question. Yes.
Hopefully you're coming out of it. I see you doing so much that you love, but like, so with my wife, I realized that like when she can't feel that, maybe she can at least feel what she doesn't love.
Yeah.
And she wasn't even telling me that. Like she doesn't really complain ever. Mm-hmm. Maybe she'll complain about me complaining, but that's about it. Like she doesn't like just complain about anything usually. So I was like, and so it wasn't even easy for her to answer this question, but it was easier once we stayed with it. And I started asking her like, what are you not looking forward to this week?
Yeah. And
it took her a minute to be able to like see it and get the courage to say it. Cause I don't want to be a complainer. It's like her thing. She doesn't want to complain. But then when she was able to say it, it was like, I'm not looking forward to cleaning the bathroom. Because we have cleaners that come, but not every week. So like, I was like, I would love to do that. Like podcast time. I'll wait for the kids. Yeah. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And so I've been doing that for months. And it's like almost every single week I've done it. And she loves it. And I'm like, this is cool. I get some time to myself in the middle of a Sunday. But the point is like, if you don't know what you would, if you don't know how to fill your life with what you would love, then start with looking at where in your life is there things that you don't love. Mm-hmm. So do you remember what was the phrasing, the way that we phrased it? Was it, what are you not looking forward to? Or was it, what are you doing in your life that you don't love? Something along those lines.
So our notes are, what am I doing that I don't love? How am I being that I don't love? What do I have that I don't love? And what are you? Yeah. And then, right.
And
what
all
are
of
you
them.
looking forward to? Yeah, in the
Yeah.
week
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. So there's variations basically. We're not giving you the one question to ask,
Right.
but like, what am I being and doing and having that I don't love? And I say you could, if it still feels like a bit grandiose, you could say today, you could say this week, you could pick a context at work,
Yes.
right? And so if you contextualize it to a certain amount of time or to a certain environment, it's going to help you to see a little bit more clearly answers to it. And that's going to confront you with the places that you could work to make a change,
Yeah.
to have only love be your principle. Um, yeah, I'm thinking about how this could sound like a selfish thing. We were talking about that earlier. How would you, because I know that you can see that it's not, Heather, how would you explain that this is not selfish for
So
people who are worried it sounds that way?
it's it so I have a funny I've kind of transformed the idea of selfish when I realized that I'm coming from love, or when I committed to coming from love all the time. So what I would love always is to, if I'm finding what we're doing next, what oh my gosh, what vacation we want to go on. I want to pick a vacation that I would love to go on, and that my
Mm-hmm.
husband would love to go on, and that my children would love to go on. That's
Mm,
what I would love. So
mm,
my question also is often, what would we love, which is an upgrade from what would everyone else love that I can set up. That's what I mean. I'm working on
mm,
it all the time. I'm constantly finding spots in my life where I looked around and said, what would everyone else love? Because I would
mm,
love what everyone else would love. And then if I
mm-hmm.
get really honest, I didn't check in with me. What would I love too?
Right.
And putting myself inside the we. So
Yeah.
also the other side of it is, it is not it is a gift to my family for me to be doing what I love, for me
Mm,
to be cooking the food that I love, for me to be
mm-hmm.
doing the work that I love, because then I show up with a smile on my face. I show up with an energy of gratitude for my life. And
Mm,
also when I find when I'm doing what I would love, that helps me get excited about helping my kids do what they would love. Like, it's a whole
mm,
way of being. We do what we would love. So, how could I be helping my whole family or my clients or everyone I work with, right, be doing what they love if I'm not being that I do what I love? Like, I am that
mm.
we do what we love. And so, yeah, it's a service. It's a service to the
Mm,
world, for me
mm.
to be creating the beauty that, when I have a desire, for me, that's my tapping into my ability to create beauty in the world. And
Right.
so, yeah, not selfish at all. It's literally me creating the life and the world and the experience that I would love to live in,
Mm.
and that's a contribution.
Yeah, it is. And through that consistent contribution of you living the life that you love,
Yeah,
you create an immediate world around you that's an expression of what you would love. So more
yeah,
on a more practical level, if I do only what I love in my business, then the structure of my business that emerges, the systems, we're using Slack or like whatever the softwares are, or the streaming software like we're using today, or like if every choice is like, oh, I would love that,
yeah,
then what happens is I'm then immersed in a in a structure, in a practical real life context of things that are what I love. And so
yeah,
every time I step into it, it feeds back, just like in my studio here. Like everything in this room I love.
yeah,
Every single thing that's hung, a piece of art, like art from clients, gifts from clients, all the books, like everything and where it is, it's all love. And so
yeah,
when I walk through that door, I have stickers on the door that I love, abracadabra, creating logo, slow yourself down. It's
yeah,
like I'm immersing myself in a room. Like it's my favorite place to be, because
yeah,
it's like all expression of love. And so whether it's a room or a business or a relationship, when you do and be and have only what you love as a way of being,
yeah,
you actually build in a world that you live in that is a reflection and expression of that, and it feeds back into the system.
yeah,
This is why it becomes exponential. Like life can get exponentially better
yeah,
because the system is feeding back into you. And then, which I think I hear you speaking to as well, which is central to the We Are Creating philosophy, is that as we create a more beautiful way of being, it creates a more beautiful life. That's what we're talking about here. And then our more beautiful life, not just our experience, but the world immediately around us, that creates a more beautiful world in an extended sense. Like if
yes,
everybody was doing that, then you've got a bunch of beautiful lives,
yep,
and then they all click together. It's like Lego blocks. Now you've got a whole beautiful city. And if
yep,
all cities were doing that, you got a more beautiful world. So You know, it's a simple principle inspired by the philosophy of Charles Eisenstein for sure, but we're like bringing it down to like the individual level, and
Yes.
how can you can really express that as a part of the whole.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we
Yes,
are.
yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. I love to remember that we are each a little bit of the earth bopping around, as I say. We are each a little opportunity for expression. So let's create beauty. And if I'm walking around doing things that I don't love, having
Mm.
things that I don't love, that I don't find full, then to me, my fullest aliveness is in that shift. And it's constantly changing what I would love. It's not like I look around
Oh,
my
great point.
yeah, it's not like I look around my life and I'm like, "Oh, it's now organized and all the things that I love and all the things that I do I love and all the people I" you know what I mean? Or the iteration of my marriage, I just love it now, and
Mm.
no, things are changing all the time, so it's a practice to live in, to constantly be oriented
Mm.
towards, because I get to choose again tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and to me, that's the expression of my full aliveness.
Yeah. I want to drill down on what you just pointed out because it's super important. And it's like a choice that I guess I've made at some point along the lines, but I don't know how conscious it was.
Mhm.
Because if you do be have only what you love, you have to you have to welcome and embrace the reality that that will have some things that you value the consistency of not being consistent. And so you
Mhm.
actually have there comes a point it's where being, doing, and having only love, only what I love, will come head to head with the consistency of something
Yep.
that has mattered for you in your life. And so you basically have to decide that, like, for me, this principle, you don't have to, but you get to decide this principle is more important to me than consistency.
Yes.
Right. Like, hey, it may mean that like you move beyond a relationship, that you like, you made a promise or a commitment that's going to be there forever.
Yep.
Like I say to my wife, it's paradoxical and not very romantic, but it's an expression of my philosophy. So I usually say it to myself now. I said, I love you and I will be with you forever right now,
Yeah.
which is like, I am being right now that forever commitment, but
Yeah.
I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
And I prioritize my love and your love and our love over some idea that we had in the past about what will be in the future.
Yeah.
And I also value living in the state of being of a created future called forever. So I try to
Yes.
presence those simultaneously, which is a welcoming and a saying yes to of love over ideas and concepts like consistency and integrity and all that kind of stuff. So for me, this is an expression of Ian McGilchrist's The Master and His Emissary, where it's a great book about how the left hemisphere has become dominant, and it serves its best work when it's subservient to the right hemisphere. The right hemisphere should be the master, and the left hemisphere the emissary. The right hemisphere is an expression, orientation of wholeness. It sees the whole picture, and the
Yeah.
left is that ability to disassociate and look, analyze the parts. And
Mhm.
we function at our best when that parts thing is in service of the whole,
Sure,
but
yeah,
sometimes we get it the wrong way around. And so like for me, the right hemisphere, like the wholeness is love. It's
yeah,
the expression of love, the experience of love, the almighty love. And I want to make structural commitments in service of that, not vice versa. I don't want to love within the agreements or commitments or whatever, like this logic context. So
right.
it's a choice for the priority of love over everything else.
I find it more loving to choose my husband new every day, or my children, or myself, or my work every day, than to have made a decision 15 years ago and tolerated it
Mm,
forever, right? And so asking myself, "What would I love?" or "Do I love this?" Um, or being committed to doing only what I love and living inside that question, um, keeps me choosing. And man, I wanna be chosen every day. That's pretty
mm,
cool. That's
mm.
love,
Mm, mm, mm.
right? I don't wanna be tolerated
Yeah.
because you chose me 15 years ago or 20 years ago. Let's choose every single day each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not just, I'm thinking about, that's not just, it's kind of easier to see in a relationship with choosing another person, but it's also my work. Like every Monday morning, I choose to do this business. And
Yes.
that choice, it's not like I'm constantly thinking that, but it is choice that lives on top of a knowing that I would walk away from anything that I don't love. My
Yes.
willingness to walk away keeps the choice, the presence of the agency and the choice sustained and active and alive and real.
Yes.
Because if I don't have that willingness to walk away from anything,
Yep.
then I'm not choosing where I am.
And I'm not in touch with why I'm here and bringing my loving self to it.
Right.
But if I'm here just because I was here last week, then
Mm.
that would produce a certain way of being in me. But if I wake up in the morning and say, I love helping people, that's why I'm here. What do I love this? What? Oh, I love helping people. I love helping people working with JP. I love help. Da, 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 da. Okay, that's why I'm showing up here today. Now I'm
Yeah.
re-energized and now I'm living from a place of love. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's centering, that's the only love, right? It's like centering love, which choosing is an opportunity to bring it into presence for me.
Mm. Yeah. That's good too. The conscious choosing. Yeah. I think
Conscious.
about both are a thing. Consciously choosing creates and presences it, but like there's the unconscious constant choosing that occurs in the space of like that lives on top of that foundation of the willingness to walk away from anything that you don't love. You're automatically unconsciously always choosing, and that's in that way.
Yeah, it's not just like a willingness, it's like a stand for it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, in
Like,
fact, one way I used to talk with is do nothing that you do not love. I used to have like the inversion. The principle, the stand was I'm not going to do anything I don't love,
yeah.
which is in there. We're just trying to orient around the positive. But like, yeah, I think this is good for today. I want to like wrap because there's more for us to share, but I want to do that on Friday. So what I
Yeah.
also want to do is invite people to, if you're watching this on the replay and you have questions about how to apply this, or you've applied it a little bit and you want to hear more, or like just share, just drop a comment on wherever you're watching this live. And on Friday, if it's a question, we'll speak to it or share what you shared. And yeah, and after this video, you're going to see just a short clip of some of the other ways that you can create with us in our community and our work. So if you're interested in that, click the link and check it out. But otherwise, love you guys. I only love you. That's why I'm doing this. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. Da-dum. All right. Peace.
Adios.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you would love more support and inspiration in creating your best year ever, then I invite you to join us over in the We Are Creating community. There you're going to find daily prompts that are going to stretch your mind to think outside the box, just like this video. And you're going to find a community of inspiring people who are also on this journey of learning how to create their best year ever. Plus, when you join this community, you're going to get access to my course called Creating the Best of Everything. In this course, I go into all the 6 major areas of your life, and I help you to expand your sense of possibility about what that area of your life can look like. Just that experience alone is going to shift your attitude towards your life, your way of being, and it's going to start producing different results right away. So that isn't just included in your membership in the community. But if that's not enough and you're like, man, I want to really get into this and I want to get more mentorship and work with you closely, then you can do that. You can look at our year-long program called Creator's Journey. In that program, we meet face-to-face live every single week in a group, and we have conversations that help you to really understand how to become a person that lives their most beautiful life. We're going to teach you the practices, the processes, and the perspectives that bring this new way of seeing and being to life in you. And it's not just that you're getting some ideas and a download. You're part of a live conversation week in and week out with me and this community of people that are highly invested in growing and becoming that type of person that creates their most beautiful life. Plus, you also get access to all the deeper courses with all the nuanced lessons about every area of your life and business and how to bring these things to life, what to actually do on a daily basis. You not only learn the practices, but you get accountability and being in this practice of creating yourself and creating your world on a regular basis, and you have support in that. And in addition, of course, you're invested in the relationships with the people who are on this journey together. So if that sounds like something that's interesting to you, please join us in there as well. But you've got options. So click the link that's associated with this video, maybe below, above, wherever it is, and go and read about them. You can anywhere between $10 a month and $500 a month, but do yourself a favor, get invested in the community, join us, and I look forward to supporting you in creating your best year ever for 2025. Lots of love.